Hello, I'm Mike, and I'm a yoga teacher. And in today's session, we'll do yoga and meditation on Psalm 2 from the New International Version Bible. I'm going to read the part of the passage here, and then we'll work into some yoga movements. I'll read the rest of the passage because this one's actually a shorter psalm. And then after about 25 minutes, we'll do some seated meditation. So let's reflect on Psalm 2. Why do the nations conspire, and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, "Let us break their chains and throw off their shackles." The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. He rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, "I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain." As we're reflecting on those words, I won't give any commentary about what I think. Some of it seems, a little paradoxical. It's interesting, but I get the gist of the message from where I'm experiencing, and I'm sure you also sense some kind of message. So let's find ourselves in a seated posture, and we'll take a few breaths, noticing the top of the head reaching up towards the sky, and then allowing this seated posture to be felt rooted into the ground. Coming into some natural breathing and being aware of the breathing. We'll move into a kneeling posture. Let's face one end of the mat. And then coming into that balasana or child's pose, resting posture. Taking a few breaths here with our forehead towards the ground. Looking up towards the hands, let's step forward with both feet in between the hands. Extending through a flat back, and then releasing our head down towards the ground in a fold. Inhaling and slowly rising up into standing pose. Taking a breath, raising the arms overhead and exhaling, folding forward. Let's move through a couple salutations. Inhaling, raising our top of our heads towards the front of the room. And exhaling, stepping back into plank pose. Taking an inhale here if you'd like, and exhaling, lowering down to the ground. We can press ourselves up into Cobra. Taking a breath. And then pressing back into Downward Facing Dog. hips towards the sky. Stepping both feet towards the front of the mat again. And extending through the back and folding forward. Inhaling, raising up into standing, taking a breath. Raising the arms overhead. And exhaling, folding forward. Inhaling, raising up to the flat back, and exhaling, stepping back with the other foot, both feet into plank, lowering down. Inhaling into cobra. And exhaling into downward facing dog. We can notice the difference depending on where our feet are placed, or even how we move the shoulders. Exhaling, stepping both feet forward between the hands. Extending through the back and folding forward. Inhaling, raising up into standing pose. Let's step back with one foot, moving into warrior one. Feeling the front knee in the area of the front ankle. It could be anywhere, but generally in line and kind of over the front ankle, as we're building awareness here. In your own practice, you may go more deeply in different postures. Feeling the stretch along the inside of the thighs and reaching the arms overhead. Immediately noticed any muscular imbalances. Moving slowly with the breath. It's more of like a muscular tension along the legs that may feel different on either side. Stepping forward with both feet into standing. Let's step back with the other foot into warrior one. Placing the back foot around 45 degrees and the front knee over the front ankle. With the front foot pointing forward. Again, raising up the arms. Noticing the sensations throughout the body. Any tension unwinding. Stepping forward with both feet. Now we'll move into warrior one on each side again, and then move into triangle pose. I'll actually start on this side this time so you can see. Stepping back into warrior one We could place the hands around the chest area or above the head, moving our arms back towards the ears. Now, keeping our feet generally where they are, having a micro bend in the front knee instead of a deeper bend, moving into triangle pose. We can extend both arms, feeling our shoulders away from the ears a bit, kind of in line with along the clavicle here. Exhaling, hinging forward, and opening the upper waist while reaching down towards the front shin. We can also move towards our toes, but also focusing on opening up the torso towards the sky a bit. And we can raise the upper arm towards the sky, looking at the thumb. Returning back to the front of the mat. And we'll move into Warrior One on the other side. Stepping back with the other foot, with the back foot about 45 degrees and the front foot, toes pointing forward. Hands from the chest area or overhead. And moving into the triangle pose on the other side. Extending the front knee with a little bit of a give to that front knee, so there's a micro bend, it's not locked. And then we'll move in the triangle pose on the other side. Reaching the upper fingertips towards the sky. Feeling the stretch along the upper side abdomen. Turning our feet to the front of the mat, standing pose. Taking an inhale and exhaling, folding. Stepping back with both feet into plank pose. Exhaling, we can lower down all the way or part of the way. Inhaling into upward facing dog. Then moving into downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. Let's bring our knees to the mat and fold forward into child's pose, our foreheads towards the ground. Reaching the fingertips forward. After some time there, let's return to a seated posture. And I'll read the rest of this passage from Psalm 2. I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, "You are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will break them with a rod of iron. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise, be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and celebrate his rule with trembling. Kiss his son, or he will be angry, and your way will lead to your destruction. For his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him." Now I'd have to look and see who wrote each of these psalms, but a lot of time the prophets back in the day, they would just say stuff they were inspired to say, in the Word of God, so to speak. And some of it would just be like kind of strong language that would just be, and now it's been translated over thousands of years, so this are the words that we have. So it's interesting. Imagine listening to a prophet kind of saying these things, like prophesying. That's kind of what it is. So we'll return to our seated posture. And let's do a forward fold. Trying to keep that lower back as much close to flat as possible. We're just basically not rounding it as much. It's going to depend on a lot of things, especially possibly muscular tension. Just bringing awareness to bring it a little bit more forward. Inhale and raising the arms overhead. Let's exhale, folding the arms, the hands forward, hinging from the hips. I'm just going to incorporate a little stretch here because it feels good. My back's definitely not flat, so to speak, but I'm hinging from the hips here, so I'm not forcing. And just a little bit of a force to stretch. I'm feeling it in my low back. You might feel it along your legs if you choose to do this. Opening the chest up towards the front. Just kind of rolling the shoulders back and down. Let's move our backs onto the mat. We'll do some hugging, rolling postures. You can bring the knees towards the chest and kind of roll and massage out the back a few times. Moving slowly if you want, a little bit. Maybe feeling a little stretch along the way in the lower back. And then we'll move into bridge pose. Placing the heels next to the fingertips, bringing the shoulders towards the ground and pressing up the hips. Taking a few breaths. Lowering down. Inhaling, raising the hips again. And lowering down. We'll windshield wiper the knees, kind of placing the knees and ankles together, bent, and keeping our torso in line as much with the hips as we can, and allowing the knees to come to one side. Maybe twisting our head in the opposite direction. Taking a few breaths, moving the knees to the other side. And twisting the other way. Not forcing, but seeing where it feels right. Bringing our knees back to center, let's move to either a lying down position or we can come to a seated posture. And we'll spend a few minutes in our seated posture and meditation, about 5 minutes. I'm going to use my meditation bench today. Finding a good position and being aware of the breath. Focusing. then when you're ready, we can return with our eyes opening if you want, or bringing awareness back into the environment. You're feeling a difference, getting some movement in. And being grateful for the day. It's great that you've joined me in this practice, this recorded practice. And have a great day.